super skillful fighter, very talented fighter. And I talked about that, a while back. And I thought about this, if he wanted to go to 168 and he want to fight Canelo bad and Benavidez want to fight Canelo bad, if they can't get Canelo, they can fight each other. Benavidez and Crawford.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wow, for real?
I'm saying that both of you guys are chasing one fighter. If y'all feel like y'all chasing him and y'all can't get that fighter, then y'all should say, fuck it, we'll fight each other.
Damn, that's crazy. I mean, Terence Crawford at 168 against David Benavidez, that's a hell of a fight. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Crawford will fight you if he beats Canelo.
I wouldn't fight Crawford. I'm at 175.
David Benavidez isn't celebrating Canelo Alvarez's historic loss. He is furious about the fallout. The Mexican monster has finally snapped, unleashing a brutal reality check on Terence Crawford for completely ruining the timeline and destroying the biggest payday in boxing. Benavidez is no longer begging for a shot. He is flipping the script with one non-negotiable demand that changes everything. This isn't just frustration, it's a power shift. And Benavidez is letting the world know.
I think he was, referring to maybe if David could go and fight Crawford. Like, that's crazy.
To be honest, that would be even an embarrassment to me to say, David's too big for Crawford. Now who said that? Plus, you've seen Bo Mack also. They're not interested in David, Let's focus on what we have, and, I've been seeing a lot of weird things happening in boxing these days. We got Tank fighting Jake Paul. We got Terence Crawford fighting Canelo. We're focused on the fight that's coming.
You would think Benavidez would be happy to see his rival take a loss, but the reality is much more complicated.
I didn't see it. I like Terence Crawford. I like his boxing skills, but I'm gonna admit, man, it was just too hard for me to give him a win, man.
In a raw new interview, Benavidez pulled back the curtain on what was really going on behind the scenes with Saudi organizer Turki Al-Sheikh. There was a verbal agreement, a handshake deal that was supposed to change Benavidez's life. The plan was simple. Canelo beats Crawford and then immediately steps into the ring with Benavidez for the mega fight of the decade. But when Crawford pulled off the upset, that entire script went up in flames. Benavidez didn't mince words, bluntly stating that Crawford came in and messed everything up. It's a moment where a fighter admits that a rival's success actually cost him a fortune.
Still a need for Benavidez?
Who, Canelo?
Turkey, people are talking about it.
Turkey hit it at that. He was like, Benavidez.
Yeah, he
Turkey,
did.
So.
Turkey just posted that this morning, wondering if Benavidez can make 168. Maybe he has plans or ideas of maybe trying to match up Benavidez and Terence Crawford.
No, man. No, we ain't doing that fight.
Maybe planning on vacating the belts?
No, we ain't gonna vacate the belts. We just gonna sit where we need to sit for a minute, and then, just like I said, get back in the gym and do our thing.
With the money fight off the table, the power dynamic has completely flipped. For years, Benavidez was the one fighting for a chance, willing to do whatever it took to get Canelo in the ring. That is over. Benavidez made it crystal clear. He holds the cards now. He is the WBC interim light heavyweight champion, and he is done draining himself to make weight for a guy who just lost. His ultimatum is brutal and simple. If Canelo wants a piece of the Mexican monster, he has to come up to 175 pounds. He's not going down to 168 ever again. He's demanding the respect and the weight class that comes with it.
So we know that in your division, maybe it'll be the Ball or Serbia. We're all excited because now with Turki Al-Sheikh and the ultimate also Canelo and Crawford, which would you prefer the winner of if there was even a possibility down the line now that you are,
To be honest with you, I don't think a fight with me and Canelo would ever happen at 168. I want to go back to 160. I'm good at 175. I'm world champion here. So if you don't want to come up to fight at 175, I'm all good with that. But right now, I can't live in this fantasy world where like, oh, maybe I'm going to get this fight, maybe this and that. I've done my job. I've done everything to get this fight. It's one of the biggest fights in boxing. a person that want to make it happen, I'm not gonna waste my time trying to make a fight happen. It doesn't want to fight. So I'm just trying to fight with people who are really trying to fight.
Since the dream fight is on hold, Benavidez is turning his attention to a new target, Anthony Yarde. And let's be honest, the motivation here isn't just glory, it's the bag. Benavidez candidly admitted that the money offered for this fight in Saudi Arabia was absolutely crazy, a payday he simply couldn't turn down. But don't think he's just showing up for a check. True to his reputation, he promised this fight is going to be a war, and he delivered that war. This match ended with a historic TKO ending which added his 25th knockout in his legacy, and still he sees this fight as a B grade. This just shows how highly a fighter rates his skills, and he knows he can always be better than what he showed. A lesson instilled by Benavidez Sr. himself from a young age. He saw Yarde as a dangerous, hungry fighter with his back against the wall, which is exactly the kind of chaos Benavidez thrives in. He's not looking to box, he's looking to hurt, bringing that aggressive style that fans have been craving.
I'm very excited, bro. We're right here. We're on this side of the street, Riyadh season, to where all the big fights get made happen. And I'm excited to be here because I know I'm going to get these big opportunities after this fight. A lot of big opportunities are coming. But first things first, I'm 100% focused on my fighter, Anthony Yarde. I know he's a good fighter. He has a lot of experience. He's been in there with the best. But I'm just going to be too much for him. Right now, the moment where I'm at in my life, I feel like I'm a couple years away from taking over the sport of boxing. And I can't wait to do that and show the people who I am, show them how good I am. Like I said, there's a lot of great fighters on this side of the street, and I'm ready to fight all of them, and I'm ready to prove myself to the world and to the people that I'm going to be the best.
For a long time, Benavidez's career seemed defined by the fight that never happened. It was always, when will he fight Canelo? But in a moment of real maturity, he admitted he's finally letting it go. He realized the politics of boxing were holding him hostage. Waiting around for Canelo was stalling his own legacy. He accepted that the redhead might never sign the contract, and he decided to stop caring.
And when the fights are being made, because I've been in a position from back then like Canelo Alvarez, we were trying to get that fight for years and years, and that fight didn't happen. So, I kind of learned learned how to block everything out, and I just prepare for what's in front of me, Yeah. Like I said, I've been making the case that I want to fight the best fighters in the world, the best fighters in the division, and it's kind of hard to make those fights happen. There's a lot of politics that go in behind it, but little by little, one step at a time, I feel like we're getting to the moment where we want to get to, in my career. And, all these fights are starting to manifest itself. And like I said, if we don't get the fights now, we're definitely going to get them in the future. But as we wait for those big fights, this is a great fight to take meanwhile.
It's a psychological shift that makes him even more dangerous. He's no longer a challenger waiting for a champion's permission. He's a man carving his own lane, regardless of what the superstars do.
I'm not going to be stupid and say, if I could get a fight with, Usyk, I got to give the respect to the weight classes. They're there for a reason. But if I could get a fight with Surdo Ramirez, I think right now is the best time to make it happen, because I always knew there would be a possibility of fighting him, but now this is the best time to make it happen. Two Mexicans, and fighting, maybe we can make it in Las Vegas, in the United States after this fight. And honestly, what else does Surdo Ramirez have? I know they're trying to fight Opataya, but honestly, I'm a bigger name than Opataya right now because of what I've done in the fights I've fought. I'm not saying that I'm stronger or whatever it is. I've done the work. I've fought pay-per-views. I've put in the work. So I think it's solidified that me and versus Surdo Ramirez will be a bigger fighter than Surdo Ramirez versus Opataya. And then that's just in my opinion. No disrespect to Opataya or nothing. He's a great fighter. But I think it makes sense on both sides for me and Surdo Ramirez.
So if Canelo is out of the picture, what's the new plan? It's ambitious and it's heavy. Benavidez revealed a roadmap that sees him leaving the light heavyweight division behind sooner than expected. His eyes are set on moving up to cruiserweight to challenge Surdo Ramirez for 2 belts.
Then my plan is to get a fight with Surdo Ramirez at cruiserweight. It's just like, I've been calling for these big fights. I've been showing that I back up everything I say. You know what I mean? And I think I've been held back a lot, not only because myself, because these other fighters, they know that they don't want to give me opportunity because they know what's going to happen. And I think that's more and more apparent day by day. So, you know, like I said, if it's not with these big, if it's not with Beterbiev or Bivol, then we're trying to go after Surdo Ramirez, you know what I mean? And I want to reach greatness, and I think it's time to do that. And, you know, with the way everything is happening right now, you know, I'm just grateful for, you know, Lord Jesus Christ and God Almighty and my father, my team, and, you know, everything is going great, and I'm extremely motivated, and I'm gonna accomplish everything I set out to accomplish.
He views this as a massive legacy move, becoming a multi-division champion and dominating a weight class where size and power truly matter. After that, he plans to circle back and take on the winner of Beterbiev versus Bivol for undisputed status. He's not just looking for fights, he's looking for history.
In this weight division, 175 pounds, you have the undisputed champion in Dimitri Bivol, who's reigning, but he has we think a rubber match with Artur Beterbiev scheduled at some point. Has it been told to you, David, that like if you win this fight, you're gonna get a crack at either Bivol or Beterbiev?
I mean, yeah, it's not, they haven't told me specifically that, but, you know, I mean, just in the trajectory of what I'm doing, what I am, you know, I'm world champion at 175 with the WBC, so it's inevitable. It's just when it's going to happen, you know what I mean? I take my career one fight at a time, you know what I mean? I don't really let other fights kind of get into my brain. You know, I'm getting ready for Anthony Yarde. I'm 100% focused on Anthony Yarde, and whatever comes next, comes next. But as for what I'm thinking of, you know, that's, what else is there left? What other fights you guys want to see me fight? You know what I mean? Especially that we're here with Turki Al-Sheikh. We're getting these fights done. In my opinion, a fight with Beterbiev or Bivol is next. You know what I mean? And those are no, you know, if I was a different type of fighter, I'd be like, you know what, I'm going to go talk to my team and see what's the best. No, the fights I want are Beterbiev and Bivol. You know what I mean? Just because I want to challenge myself. I want to be the best without a doubt. But, you know what I mean? Sometimes in the business sense, things happen. You know, so sometimes things are tricky, you know what I mean? And it's a little bit more difficult than just making the fight happen. But like I said, I'm pushing to make the biggest and best fights happen. And
perhaps the most surprising part of this new chapter is the man himself. We've watched Benavidez grow up in the public eye, and it wasn't always pretty. He opened up about his early 20s, making millions of dollars and blowing it just as fast on reckless habits and bad decisions. He spoke about the dark times, the substance issues, and the lack of discipline that almost derailed his career before it really started.
I mean, it was really bad decision and bad timing, you know what I mean? When I decided to do it, you know, I just, you know, it happened, it needed to happen. When it happened, you know, the people, I think it was just God, you know, telling me I shouldn't be doing something because it was just a random drug test that ended up at my front door. But, you know, I'm glad it happened, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be making stupid decisions like that anymore. And not just only, it wasn't bad for me, it was bad for my family, you know, all the bad publicity we got. You know, I got a lot of hate mail on Instagram, but, you know, it's just decisions should be made like that, you know what I mean? And I just want to use it for all my fans, upcoming boxers that, you know, that even think about doing that. You know, it's going to hurt you a lot, you know what I mean? Not only money-wise, but, you know, everything's going to be stripped from you, your title, your reputation. So it might as well just avoid it, you know what I mean? It's not worth it.
Yeah. How bad did it get? Like, was it something that you're doing all the time, or?
No, it was the first time, you know what I mean? But it was, like I said, it was bad timing. It was really bad timing, but, you know, it's
But that kid is gone. The Benavidez we see now is investing his money, building businesses, and staying disciplined. He credits his love for the sport and the guidance of his brother for saving him from spiraling out.
I was really depressed for about 3 months, but it was my own fault, you know what I mean, while I was suspended. So, I mean, it's just really bad timing, and, you know, it shouldn't be done.
So that happens. The title has to, I believe, relinquish it. And then it's out there. You're saying that you were depressed a little bit. How were you able to build yourself back up and get through all that?
You know, I know I'm better than most of the guys in the division. You know what I mean? So after, I get stripped of my title, I get suspended, this and that. You know, I just hear a lot of guys talking, but they weren't talking when I was right there. You know what I mean? And that just led me. You know, it just. Like I said, you live and you learn. You know, I didn't kill nobody. You know, it wasn't as bad as it was. You know what I mean?
Do you feel that you should have been stripped or relinquished from it?
Yeah, I mean, I deserve to get stripped. You know what I mean? Because the champion shouldn't act like that. But, you know, it's just, I know I'm better than most of these guys on my weight division. I just want to show the fans, you know what I mean? And I'm just coming back stronger than ever, basically.
Talking about that relationship as well with your father, because we're seeing it a bit more of a common theme. Obviously, you're trained by your father. You've got Brian Norman trained by his father, Devin Haney by his father. Starting to see, certainly at the elite level now, a lot of fighters taking that family route. Why do you think it is that there's so much success coming through in that aspect, and why are you and your father having so much success together?
I think it's better to have a father-trainer-son relationship because you're fighting for two people. Back then when I was younger, I didn't only fight for myself. I didn't really care about it. I wasn't amateur, nothing. I didn't care about nothing else when I'd go on the sparring sessions. I'd only care about making my dad happy or angry. And even if I made him angry, he'd take me back home and freaking spank me for doing bad. So in that case, you always got to have something to fight for. Now I fight for my family, fight for my wife, I fight for my children, my father and my mother and my brothers and sisters. So it's easy to let yourself down if you're fighting for more people. It gives you that extra energy to not let yourself down and not let your people down.
David Benavidez might have lost his fight night with Canelo, but he gained something much more valuable: his independence. He's no longer chasing ghosts or waiting on handshake deals that might fall apart. He has a plan, a massive payday in Saudi Arabia, and a clear path to becoming a multi-weight world champion. In a way, Terence Crawford didn't ruin Benavidez's career. He might have just saved him from waiting forever. So here is the question. With Canelo in the rearview mirror, does Benavidez have what it takes to clear out the cruiserweight division and become the face of boxing on his own?
Had any assurances that, whether it be from Turkey or from your team, whoever it may be, that a fight with a Bivol or Canelo is next? Have you had any conversations?
There's been no assurance for the past 3 years, especially I was number one trying to fight Canelo. I was number one my last fight to fight Bivol. So there's no assurances. I take every fight, every performance one fight at a time. So my mind is 100% focused on Anthony Yarde, and whatever comes next, comes next.
Do you think they're avoiding you?
I think what better be in Bivol, the timing is just wrong for them. Bivol just had a back surgery. Then Beterbiev wants to get the rematch with him. So, I can understand that. I wouldn't say they're scared of me, but I would say Canelo's scared of me 100%.
So, that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Stay tuned, and we will catch you in the next video.